Hello, my name is Gabrielle Zirolli-Logan, and this is my presentation on my final proposal package for ARC 501. For this project, we were tasked with working in groups to design a community of residential buildings in a Los Angeles neighborhood with a focus on affordability and sustainable design. In order to succeed in the design of our community, we first need to learn about the neighborhood and city we would be bringing this community to. In summary, Los Angeles is the second most populated city in the United States. Its largest industries are oil, manufacturing, and motion pictures. There is a large Latino population in the area. There is a history of inequality and gentrification, and the city is seeing an increase in high-density housing to accommodate growing populations. Our site is located in the Boyle Heights neighborhood. Boyle Heights is at the far east side of the city, just north of South and Southeast LA. Our site is located along the east side of the Los Angeles River between 4th Street and 7th Street bridges. With the research that our section conducted, there are some important key takeaways to consider when designing our communities and residential buildings in the Boyle Heights neighborhood. Housing has been and continues to be an issue with affordable housing hard to come by, gentrification still driving out locals out of the area, and there is a large homeless population in the area. But development is often frowned upon by locals as they perceive it to be a threat and it disrupts community functioning. Green building is becoming more important as climate change becomes more of a prominent issue, energy and water costs rise, and as the health of the environment is more valued by the younger generations. Additionally, unity in the neighborhood is lacking, and Boyle Heights does not have much green spaces. Keeping these key ideas in our research in mind, some recommendations for moving forward in our designs include repurposing existing buildings so as to cause less disruption to the neighborhood, integrating mixed-use components to balance the need for recreational, commercial, and residential spaces, implementing green building elements and technologies in order to save on energy costs, save water, and contribute positively to the health of the planet, and add community amenities and shared spaces to foster a feeling of unity, and keeping the locals in mind when it comes to developing, get their opinions, and respect their neighborhoods. I looked at some precedent projects throughout the course and took away some good information and inspiration. The McAllen Building in Boston, Massachusetts is an apartment building that holds a LEED Gold certification for its superior sustainable design, and residents are actually willing to pay a higher rent knowing they are living sustainably. The building was also designed to visually fit into its surroundings, which the community appreciates. Additionally, it attracts passersby with retail spaces on the ground floor, and it provides parking for its residents, which is important in a city with lack of parking. The 6th Veteran Disabled Housing in LA has a main focus on affordability and sustainability. The architects let the structural engineer and contractors take the lead on designing in the most cost-effective way. They used passive design strategies like natural ventilation for cooling. Other green aspects included a green roof, solar panels, and low-flow water fixtures. They also prioritize community elements over private areas to encourage socialization. The Skyo apartment building in Heilbronn, Germany is an impressive timber structure. It is Germany's first wooden high-rise, with its structure largely made of laminated timber. This also makes the building very environmentally friendly with its ability to absorb CO2. Skyo has also a green roof, underground parking, and ground floor commercial space. You'll see many of these ideas incorporated into mine and the community's design. Our group chose Site 2 in the Boyle Heights neighborhood, which you can see highlighted here. We chose this site for its access to Viaduct Park to the south and for its size, as we would be adding 5 residential buildings to the site. I have Zone 3 on the site. It is 36,955 square feet, and my plan was to design an apartment building focusing on sustainability and affordability. Here's our group's master plan for the community, which we named Viaduct Village. The entirety of the site is 5.5 acres, which required 167 units. My building alone has 56 of those units. Here you can see the planned site with our master plan incorporated for context with the surrounding neighborhood. The site can be accessed by both pedestrians and vehicles. The secondary street on the east side of the site was previously a pedestrian-only street and is being converted so that vehicles may access the parking garage on the ground and basement floors of my building. There are 2 pedestrian streets going through the site, which will also be able to be utilized by emergency and service vehicles so that each residential building is accessible. Some factors factors to keep in mind when designing on the site is its proximity to the LA River, the winds from the east and west, and the warm, dry climate. I used the climate consultant program to further look into the site's ecological factors to consider, and some guidelines the program suggested were southern sun exposure, high mass interior surfaces, shaded areas, double pane low E windows, flat roofs, natural ventilation, cool roofs, and more. I went through several massing ideas at the beginning of my design process. I wanted to maximize the amount of units in my zone, incorporate a courtyard for the residents, and keep the design relatively simple in order to keep construction costs down. I ended on this modified H shape. I think it is a simple but interesting shape and hope to add design interest with building materials and window shapes. I also went back and forth on how to use the bottom floors of my building and settled on a parking garage for both the residents and the public visiting the community. I also added floors to increase the number of units and went through several floor plan and unit designs throughout the process. I named my building Urban Eden Residences, sustainably designed, urbanly inspired. Getting into the layout of the building, I designed a ground floor and basement parking garage. These hold a total of 91 parking spaces. There are 2 pedestrian entrances to the west and a vehicle entrance and exit to the east. The basement is accessed via 2 elevators and sets of stairs at the northwest and southwest corners, and the ground floor has an additional staircase and cargo elevator at the front of the building to the east. The ground floor also has a storage and mailroom for residents. Level 1 is accessible via both the interior staircases and elevators, as well as 2 exterior staircases at both the east and west of the building. The interior floor plans of levels 1 and 2 are identical, with 14 one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartments and 2 two-bedroom, one-bathroom apartments on each level. Each floor also has a men and women's bathroom, as well as 2 additional common spaces. Levels 3 and 4 also have identical floor plans, but with 10 two-bedroom, one-bathroom apartments and 2 three-bedroom, two-bathroom apartments each. The core of the building, with the elevator, staircase, restrooms, shared spaces, and 2 two-bedroom apartments, is identical on all 4 residential levels. The roof is accessed via the core elevator and staircase and is a shared space for residents to lounge, garden, and socialize. Here are some enlarged plans of the 4 different types of units in the building. Unit Type 1 is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 926 square feet apartment. Unit Type 2 is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,730 square feet. Unit Type 3 is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1,222 square feet. And Unit Type 4 is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1,101 square feet. All unit types have balconies, with exception for the 2 Type 4s on level 1, which instead have direct access to the courtyard. I wanted to add some larger views of the floor plan, so here's the basement level again. Here's the ground floor, and you can see the 5 different access points as well as the circulation areas colored in gray, bringing you downward via the staircases and elevators to the west and upwards via all the interior elevators and staircases as well as the 2 exterior staircases. Next, I further identified the different unit types on the floor plans. So you can see the 1 bedrooms colored here in yellow and the Type 4 2 bedrooms in red. I also identified the egress routes on each floor. Level 1 has 2 exit doors into the courtyard to the west and the main doors on the entry deck to the east. Residents may also travel downward to exit via the ground floor. The shared spaces on this floor are a leasing office and fitness space in addition to the 2 restrooms. There are also 3 mechanical closets on each level shown in white, with vertical shafts in them for mechanical and electrical system components to access each floor. Here's level 2, the same floor plan as level 1 with the exception for the exterior access points. The shared spaces on this level are a resident lounge and a game room. Level 3 has 8 Type 3 units, 2 Type 2 units, and 2 Type 4 units. The shared spaces on this level are a work-study space and a media room. Level 4 has an identical floor plan to level 3, and the shared spaces are another resident lounge and a conference room. Here's another view of the roof plan highlighting the egress route via the main staircase and elevator, which is enclosed in a rooftop structure. The roof also has 2 shaded structures for which you can see the columns on this plan. Here are some elevation drawings of the building. Next are some section drawings with the program areas color blocked. You can see the public parking garage below with the ramp for vehicle travel between the 2 levels. Next is a southeast isometric view of the building design and a northwest isometric view. Here's a section perspective with a view of the main circulation core of the building, as well as the parking garage ramp from basement to ground floor. Some sustainable and passive design strategies that I incorporated into my design include operable unit windows for natural ventilation, and all windows will be double glazed and thermally insulated. I used high mass brick and concrete interior surfaces, which helps decrease day to night temperature swings. Using these materials as the finished design materials will also help keep costs down. I also added solar panels on top of the shade structures on the roof, and I made the green roof that will collect stormwater for use in irrigation and other non-potable water needs. The green roof also is insulating, and it decreases the urban heat island effect. In construction of the building, I plan to use as much recycled and locally sourced materials as possible. Here's a visual of some of the sustainable design elements. You can see the shade structures on the roof here with the solar panels on them. I added gutters to these, as well as the circulation structure to funnel rainwater to the green roof. The green roof absorbs water through the vegetation layer, through a filter, and into a collection pan, which will then drain down to the basement, where there are 2 cisterns to store the water. The roof will also encourage community socialization with lounge areas, a barbecue area, and 2 resident gardens. For the structural design, I am using concrete as is necessary for the ground and basement level parking garages. Then concrete and masonry will be used for structural walls and columns, and mass timber will be used for floor and ceiling joists and beams in the residential levels. I am leaving all of these materials exposed to save on costs and to be a visually industrial design. As mentioned before, there are 3 mechanical closets on each floor with vertical shafts for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing system access to each floor. Last, I wanted to share some rendered perspective views of my building. I wanted to incorporate the brick and glass curtain walls for an industrial design that fit into the surrounding neighborhood, yet still looks new and clean and modern. Here's a view from the first floor entrance lobby facing out to the front entrance deck. This is a view facing out from one of the apartments. Next is a rendered view of the center courtyard, where there will be several seating options for residents to relax and gather. Lastly, a view of the rooftop highlighting the solar panels on the shaded structures. Thank you for viewing my presentation on the Urban Eden residences in the new Viaduct Village community in Boyle Heights, Los Angeles.